I'm 83 years old, and I am a complete stranger to my own life. I have the house, the pension, a file cabinet full of achievements, and absolutely nothing that matters, because I spent 8 decades preparing to live without ever actually starting. I told my daughter we'd go on adventures later. She's 57 now. Calls every Sunday out of obligation. There's a distance between us I can never cross. I told my wife we'd travel later. She died 15 years ago. Never saw the places I promised her. I told myself I'd be present later. After the promotion, after the mortgage, after things settled down. Later never came, and now I'm out of time. This isn't a story about bad luck or tragedy. This is a story about a man who chose caution over living, who chose preparation over presence, who spent 40 years waiting for the perfect moment that doesn't exist. And if you're waiting for later right now, for the right salary, the right house, the right moment, you're making the same mistake that destroyed my life. When I was in my 30s, I thought I was being incredibly wise, assistant branch manager at a bank, 60 hours a week, great pride in my caution. I lived by the clock and the ledger, avoided risks, was the reliable one, thought I was securing a future that would eventually allow me to be happy. Eventually, someday, later. I came home too tired to do anything but sit in my chair and watch the news. Told Elena we'd travel once the mortgage was smaller. Told Claire I'd go to her school plays next year when the new branch finally settled. It all felt so reasonable. I wasn't being a bad man. I was being a responsible one. That's the lie I told myself every morning while I tied my tie. One Saturday morning changed everything. Though I didn't know it then. Claire was 7. Came into the kitchen with a map she had drawn. Wanted us to go on an adventure in the woods behind our house. I had a stack of files from work. Needed my attention if I wanted to stay ahead of the next promotion. I didn't yell, just calmly explained. If I finish this work now, we could go on a much better vacation later in the summer. I can still see her folding that map up, trying to be a good girl, walking quietly out of the room. We never did go on that adventure. Something else always came up. Car repair, budget meeting, cousin's wedding. The later I promised her was currency I was printing in my head. It had no value in the real world. This was the pattern for 40 years. Always waiting for perfect conditions to start being present. Living in constant delay. I didn't notice the cost because the damage didn't happen all at once. It was the slow erosion of my marriage into logistical conversations about groceries and bills. It was the way Claire stopped asking me to play, not because she grew independent, but because she learned I was always somewhere else. I was successful by every metric the world cares about. Respected, good salary, nice house, completely hollow. A man who knew the price of everything and the value of nothing. The turning point came at 65, finally retired, gold watch, party. Walked into my house thinking, now I will start. But Elena had spent 30 years learning to be happy without me. We sat at dinner, nothing to talk about. Had spent so long discussing the future we had no shared language for the present. 2 years later, Elena got sick, fast. Something in her lungs that shouldn't have been there. In those last months, I tried to make up for 30 years in 30 days. Tried to take her to the places I'd promised. Too weak to leave the bed. Tried to tell her how I felt. Words felt clumsy because I hadn't practiced them when they mattered. She passed away holding my hand. But I could see in her eyes I was a man she'd stopped expecting anything from long ago. That's when clarity arrived. Too late. Clarity usually is. My important work was just noise. Nobody at the funeral talked about my branch's profit margins. They talked about Elena's kindness I'd ignored because I was too busy being productive. I've lived in this house alone 15 years now. Claire calls every Sunday, kind to me. But there's a distance I built with my own hands, a distance that can never be crossed. Because you can't go back and follow a 7-year-old's hand-drawn map into the woods. You can't recover 30 years of dinners you were too tired for. You can't reclaim the moments you traded for promotions that don't matter anymore. I'm 83. The only things that truly belong to me are the moments I threw away thinking I could buy them back later. You cannot buy them back. Time is the only thing without a refund policy. So I want to say to you quite calmly, your caution might be your biggest mistake. You think you're being smart, waiting for the right moment, right salary, right house. But while you're waiting, your life is happening without you. It's happening in the messy kitchen, the rainy afternoon, the kite that doesn't fly. Do not spend your life preparing for a future that might never arrive. I have the future I worked for, and I would trade every penny of my pension to go back to that Saturday morning and follow my daughter's map into the woods. Here's what I learned too late. Later is a lie you tell yourself to avoid being present now. Later when the mortgage is smaller. Later when you get the promotion. Later when things settle down. Things never settle down. The mortgage gets paid off and there's a new expense. You get the promotion and there's another one to chase. You wait for perfect conditions and they never arrive. Meanwhile, your daughter stops drawing maps. Your wife stops waiting for you to notice her. Your life happens while you're busy making plans for later. I'm 83, out of road, out of time. The weight of what I didn't do is much heavier than anything I accomplished. Nobody remembers the reports I filed or the meetings I attended or the promotions I earned. They remember the school plays I missed, the adventures I postponed, the evenings I was too tired to be present. That's my legacy, not the achievements in the file cabinet, the absences, the delays, the laters that never came. If you have someone who wants your time right now, give it to them, not next week, not after the project, now. Because one day you'll be sitting in a quiet room realizing the later you counted on was just a ghost you were chasing, while your real life was standing right in front of you, waiting to be noticed. I'm tired now. Sun is going down. House is getting dark. But I've said what I needed to say. Your caution isn't protecting you. It's stealing your life. The messy kitchen, the rainy afternoon, the hand-drawn map, that's your life. Not later, not someday. Now. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't exist. Don't wait for the mortgage to shrink. There will always be another expense. Don't wait to be less tired. You'll always be tired. Wait long enough, and you'll end up like me, 83, alone, a stranger to your own life, with a pension nobody cares about and memories of moments you never actually experienced. If this hit you, if you realize you've been waiting for later instead of living now, do 3 things. 1. Subscribe. I'm sharing more wisdom from people who learned these lessons too late so you don't have to. You need to hear them. 2. Comment. Tell me one thing you've been putting off for later. One person who wants your time. One moment you're waiting for perfect conditions to experience. Be honest. 3. Share this with someone who's always too busy. Someone who keeps saying later. Someone who's chasing promotions while their life happens without them. Because I can't get my time back. But you still can. The Saturday morning Claire came in with that map. That was my one chance. And I chose work files over my daughter. Don't make my mistake. Don't wait for later. Later is a lie. There's only now. Subscribe, comment, share. Then put down your phone and go find whoever's waiting for your attention. Don't make them wait for later, because later never comes.